You think successful people have something you don't? You think they were born luckier, smarter, handed special opportunities? No. The truth is, they don't have anything more than you, except for how they use the same 24 hours each day. They don't have more time, they're not gifted bonus hours, and there's no secret switch that extends their days. They have the same block of time as you, 1,440 minutes, and they choose to use it differently. Let me be clear. Most people don't have a time problem, they have a decision problem. They think they don't have enough time, but really they're letting time get sucked into meaningless things. They let huge chunks of their life get stolen by distractions, by busy work that doesn't move the needle, by the habit of reacting instead of initiating, by the mindset of just get it done instead of do it to transform. I used to live like that. I used to wake up every morning with a fog of tasks in my head, thinking that if I just stayed busy, I'd move forward, that I'd eventually achieve something. But I wasn't moving forward. I was just spinning in circles, and you might be doing the same. You reach for your phone the moment you wake up, check your messages, scroll through social media, get pulled into things that disorient you without even realizing it. You call it starting the day, but in reality, it's how you install chaos into your mind from the first minute. You think you're living, but you're only reacting to life. Successful people don't live like that. They don't wait for the day to begin before making a plan. They design their day before they step into it. They know this truth. If you can't control your hours, you can't control your future. If you don't know what you need to accomplish in 24 hours, you get pulled into nonsense for the remaining 23 and a half. So let me ask you, how are you using your 24 hours? Don't tell me you're really busy. Busy isn't enough. The real question is, what are you busy with? Busy creating value or busy cleaning up consequences? Busy moving forward or busy trying not to fall behind? Here's a truth you need to face. Many people live their entire lives in the illusion of trying, when in reality, they're just avoiding the decisions that actually matter. They hide inside busyness so they don't have to face their deepest fear, emptiness. Successful people don't hide, they confront. They take every hour of the day and force it to serve their goals. They don't let days pass hoping something will happen. They create what they want, hour by hour, minute by minute. Do you think I randomly succeeded with SpaceX or Tesla? No. Every hour was programmed with purpose. There's no dead time, not a single minute wasted on complaining. I don't sit around waiting for inspiration. I act, and action creates outcomes. Look back at your last 24 hours. How many hours did you spend on things that made you better? How many minutes did you spend designing instead of reacting? How many moments did you genuinely focus on what truly matters? Or did you just coast, do the bare minimum, then soothe yourself with clever sounding excuses? Success doesn't care for excuses. It only responds to action. If you want a different future, start treating every hour in your day as an asset, not a default. Successful people treat time like investment capital. They don't waste it. They place it where it multiplies. They know every hour spent learning, creating, connecting with the right people, these are bricks laid into the foundation of their desired future. Meanwhile, you might be investing your time in things that keep you stuck: gossip, drama, mindless scrolling, conversations that produce zero value. Don't ask why you're not moving forward if you haven't learned to reject what isn't worthy of your time. I'm not saying you have to be perfect. I'm saying you need a strategy. Every morning is a chance to redirect your trajectory. You can live the next 24 hours as a passive player or as the architect of your own destiny. It doesn't take much. Just start with one single decision. Today, I will use my time meaningfully. And when you make that choice enough times, you don't just change your days, you change your life. Do you want to master a new day? Then don't wait until tomorrow morning to begin. Because the truth is, tomorrow is decided tonight. I'm not speaking in theory, I'm speaking to you from experience, from failures caused by being overconfident, by thinking I could deal with it tomorrow. Unsuccessful people walk into a new day with a naive question: I wonder how today will turn out. Successful people walk into a new day with a clear command: I know exactly what I must do today. And the difference between these two kinds of people doesn't begin in the morning, it begins the night before. I used to fall into the trap that you might be living in right now, thinking that all it took was waking up early, making a cup of coffee, and opening a notebook. No, If you wait until morning to think, you've already lost. The morning is for action, not for deciding what action to take. The decision must be made before your head touches the pillow, because a successful day is not the one you hope will go smoothly, it's the one you have programmed to go smoothly. Hmm. Hmm. So let me ask you, what did you do last night? Did you scroll through your phone, watch one more episode just to relax, say I'll figure it out tomorrow and fall into a spiral of aimlessness? Or did you spend just 10 minutes to clearly define what am I living for tomorrow? I had one simple rule that changed the way I live. Never start a new day until I've finished it on paper. Before I sleep, I write down the 3 most important tasks for the next day. I don't need a list of 100 things. I just need to know what's essential, what absolutely must be done, and most importantly, why it matters. When you know the why, you find motivation. When you don't, you give up easily. And most people don't fail because they aren't smart enough. They fail because they aren't clear enough. Take a look at how the average person ends their day, exhausted, scrolling their phone, letting their mind drift, staying up late for no real reason other than habit. They don't prepare for tomorrow. They just want to escape today. But successful people don't end their days unconsciously. They end them deliberately. They plan, they reflect, they visualize what will happen tomorrow. And that creates an advantage you can't imagine. Success isn't about what you do when everyone is watching. It's about what you do when no one is watching, especially at night. That's when you write your goals. That's when you review the mistakes you made during the day. That's when you prepare your mindset for the next beginning. And the beautiful part is you don't need 2 hours to do it, just 10 minutes with a pen and a piece of paper. But you must do it with focus, with clear intention, and with a sense of responsibility for your life. Many people say, I'm not good at planning. In reality, they don't lack the skill, they lack the reason. Because if you truly understood the value of preparation, you would never go to sleep with a chaotic mind. You would never trade your future for a random, meaningless night. Successful people don't wait for inspiration, they design it. They create structure so that inspiration can operate within it. And that structure begins the night before. You think Elon Musk wakes up in the morning and then figures out what to do with SpaceX? No. Everything is mapped out the night before. You don't need to be Elon Musk to do that. You just need to be serious about your future. And the future doesn't start tomorrow. It starts with what you prepare tonight. Try changing just one thing. Before you go to bed tonight, turn off all your devices, sit down for 5-10 minutes and write, what do I most want to accomplish tomorrow? Write down 3 things. Bullet points, doesn't need to be fancy, just clear. Then ask, why are these 3 things important to me right now? The more honest your answer, the easier tomorrow becomes. Don't go to sleep in ambiguity. Don't let your mind drift off into nowhere. Give it a destination. And if you do this consistently, you'll be amazed by what transforms. You won't just control tomorrow, you'll control the direction of your life. Because the person who knows what to prepare for tonight is rarely caught off guard by what comes tomorrow. And the person who is rarely caught off guard is the one who always leads. Success doesn't wait for you to arrive, it waits for you to be ready. And readiness begins before your head hits the pillow. If you want to know what the most powerful moment of the day is, it's not mid-morning, not when you've hit your flow, and definitely not after 10 p.m. when you're exhausted and scrolling with your phone in hand. The most powerful moment is the first hour right after you wake up, and what you do with that hour will determine what you do with the rest of your life. And that's no exaggeration. I used to live like the majority, waking up late, rushing through the morning, my mind still foggy, fingers scrolling my phone, my attention hijacked by notifications, messages, emails, and nameless demands from a world that insists you react instantly. The problem is you can't control anything if the moment you wake up, you're already being pulled into the swirl of the outside world. And when you let others define the rhythm of your morning, you're letting them steer the direction of your entire life. Successful people don't live like that. They don't wake up to react, they wake up to lead. They understand that morning is sacred time for strategic thinking, the moment your brain is cleanest, quietest, and most programmable. One well-spent morning hour is worth 10 chaotic ones later. No one can master a new day if they begin it with procrastination, mental clutter, or unconscious habits like checking notifications or doom scrolling. I'm not telling you to wake up at 4 a.m. I'm not promoting the cult of early risers succeed. I'm telling you this, waking up with a clear purpose, that's the real difference between the leaders and the followers. Successful people don't start the day with noise. They start with silence and intention. They don't turn on the TV. They don't check social media. They spend the first hour doing things that shape their identity: meditation, journaling, reading, physical movement, setting goals. They command their energy before the world has a chance to pull it away. And I'm telling you, nothing builds self-confidence faster than waking up and completing a deliberate sequence of actions while the rest of the world is still half asleep. You say to me, I'm not a morning person. I used to believe that too, but then I realized success doesn't care what type of person you are. It only cares whether you do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. Discipline begins in the morning, and discipline is the only thing that gives you true confidence, because it's not inspiration, but repeated commitment that builds lasting results. And it's the morning where I sharpen that commitment every day. You can't flip the game unless you flip your morning. Look back at your wake-up habits. What are you building in that first hour? Or are you just surviving through it? I lived through many mornings in a reactive state, and the only thing I gained was a day dictated by others, manipulated by emotions, pulled away from what mattered most. When I changed how I started my day, everything else followed. Not because I had more time, but because I used the most powerful stretch of time to reset myself. So here's what I want you to do differently. Tomorrow, don't touch your phone when you wake up. Don't turn on the TV. Don't let anything outside of you decide how your day begins. Sit up, drink a glass of water, breathe deeply. Write down 3 things you want to accomplish today. They don't have to be grand, just things you genuinely want. Then ask, if I could only complete one, which of these would create the biggest impact? Then pour your focus into that, just one thing, one step, but one step you choose with full awareness. I'm not saying you need a perfect morning. I'm saying you need a morning with direction. That's the difference between stepping into your day like a warrior or stumbling into someone else's script. You can't control everything in your day, but you can always control how you start it. And if you own the starting point, you give yourself a real chance to change the whole game. I've seen too many people live a reactive life. They wake up late, rush through the morning, arrive at work drained, and spend the day firefighting. That's not living, that's being pushed around. But if you choose to wake up just 30 minutes earlier, prepare your mindset with clarity, eliminate distractions, and walk out the door with fierce intent, then no matter what happens that day, you still own your inner state. Life doesn't reward the smartest, it rewards the most prepared, and preparation always begins when everyone else is still asleep. A powerful morning doesn't require much time, it only requires one decision. Do you want to live reactively or intentionally? If the answer is yes, then start tomorrow morning. Don't wait for something to inspire you. Let your own action create the inspiration. And if you do that long enough, one day you'll look back and realize every turning point in your life began with how you used the first hour of your morning. I see so many people constantly in a rush, frantically jumping from one thing to the next. They look like they're getting a lot done, but by the end of the day, they feel exhausted, drained, and more than anything, they haven't truly made any progress. They're busy, but they're not moving forward. I'm telling you this because I used to live like that. Drowning in endless to-do lists, checking off each task as if it were a badge of honor, only to realize none of them were truly moving me toward where I wanted to go. And there's one quote I'll never forget: don't confuse movement with achievement. You can move all day and get nowhere. You can fill every time slot on your calendar with activity, yet still neglect the one thing that creates real difference, impact. The difference between successful people and those who stay stuck isn't about who's busier. It's about who chooses the right things to be busy with. Success doesn't come from doing more. It comes from doing the right things in the right order with your best energy. I've seen so many people manage their time as if they're putting out fires. They jump from task to task, handling one urgent thing after another, but none of them are truly important. And when you live with a firefighter's mindset, you'll forever be reacting, never leading. I don't live that way. I don't spend my time on things that only keep me busy. I spend it on things that create leverage. Each morning, I look at my plan and ask, which of these tasks, if completed, would change the game? I don't make long lists. I pick the sharpest spear, and I pour everything into it. Have you ever spent a whole day handling errands, making calls, replying to messages, tidying up, checking everything, and then at night you lay down and feel hollow? That's a sign you're trading deep energy for shallow motion. Successful people don't let themselves get trapped in the illusion of fake productivity. They don't need to do more. They need to finish the right thing. And to do that, you must learn to see your to-do list through a new lens, the strategic lens. Ask yourself daily, which tasks here just make me feel busy but don't actually move me forward? And on the flip side, which tasks seem small but if done consistently will generate massive long-term results? This isn't a time management trick. It's the art of managing energy and impact. I believe in the 80/20 principle. 80% of results come from 20% of actions. The question is, are you clear-headed enough to identify that 20%, or are you letting your calendar be controlled by things that are urgent but not important? People who don't succeed often spend their lives becoming great at things that don't matter. They optimize what doesn't need to be optimized. They're skilled at handling the trivial, but never put energy into the strategic. That's why they're always tired, always feel like they're running out of time, always feel like they're trying so hard but getting nowhere. They think they lack resources, but in truth, they're just investing in the wrong places. I don't do everything. I only do what's most necessary. I don't care what keeps me busy. I only care what helps me move forward. And you should too. Learn to categorize your work into two types, tasks and priorities. Tasks are things you can do. Priorities are things you must do. Because if you don't, you'll miss opportunities, lose momentum, or stay stuck. Clean up your to-do list. Eliminate the things that make you feel busy but leave no lasting mark. Keep only what truly impacts the future you're building. I know some will say, but I don't have a choice. Everything feels important. No, not everything is equally important. The truth is, you're trapped in the belief that you must do it all, instead of having the courage to choose what to drop. Successful people don't do it all. They cut 80% and focus deeply on the 20% that drives transformation. They understand the fewer scattered tasks, the deeper the impact. And the deeper the impact, the longer it lasts. When you live this way, you don't need busyness to feel valuable. You need results to know you're on the right path. You are not a multitasking machine. Your brain wasn't designed to run 10 things at once. You need clarity. And clarity comes from strategic choices. No one is forcing you to juggle 10 things every day. You're forcing yourself out of fear of being judged, out of a desire to please others, out of a refusal to let anything go. But you're trading effectiveness for the illusion of professional busyness. If you don't shift this mindset, you'll spend your entire life in overload without ever feeling like you're getting anywhere. And I say this not to judge you. I say it because I've been there. I used to think that being busy enough would lead me to success, but no. Success doesn't come from volume. It comes from sharp prioritization and purposeful action. And you must be the one to decide what deserves to be prioritized. If you don't choose, someone else will choose for you. And at that point, you're just living someone else's life, disguised as being productive. So tomorrow morning, when you look at your task list, don't ask, can I get all of this done? Ask, which of these, if completed today, will move me forward? If you can complete just one of those high-impact actions every day, one thing with real weight, then in a year, you'll have gone farther than someone who spent a decade being busy, but never moved. Let me be direct with you. If something is important to you, but it's not on your calendar, you're lying to yourself. Don't hope you'll find some free time to get it done. There's no such thing as free time in a life without clear priorities. The question isn't whether you have enough time. The question is, have you made space for it in your schedule? If the answer is no, the odds of it ever happening are close to zero. Do you know what the average person does with the things they truly want to do? They think about them, talk about them, visualize them, feel excited imagining them, and then leave them there. And what about successful people? They pull out their calendar, pick a specific time slot, block it off, set a reminder, and commit. The difference isn't desire, it's the level of time-bound commitment. I learned this early on. A plan doesn't exist if it only lives in your head. You might have thousands of ideas and hundreds of goals, but if they don't occupy space in the physical structure of time, they're just illusions. I know you said before, I'll read that book when I have time, but time never arrives on its own. You have to take it, you have to make space for what you consider important. I don't schedule things to box in my life. I schedule to make sure my life doesn't drift into meaninglessness. I don't wait for inspiration to decide. I use my calendar to trigger action. That's why, for me, if it's not on the calendar, it's not real. Take a look at your week. What does your calendar reflect? Does it show a life aligned with purpose or a life driven by randomness? Do you see fixed blocks for learning, time for health, for strategy, for relationships, for what truly creates value? Or is it just filled with reactive meetings, unimportant urgencies, and aimless gaps? A calendar isn't just a place to write down tasks. It's where you assert your identity. The more you proactively schedule, the more proactively you live. I've met many people who say they have big goals, but when I ask, where is it on your calendar this week? They go silent. They have no answer because they haven't made time for what they claim is important. And when you don't make time, that thing has no place to exist. You can say you want to start a business, write a book, learn a new skill, train your body, or connect more deeply with loved ones. But if I don't see it on your schedule, I don't believe you. Not because you're lying to me, but because you're lying to yourself. Successful people don't live by memory, they live by systems. They know the brain isn't a place to store tasks, it's a place for creativity, analysis, and decision-making. Anything repetitive, anything important must be framed in time. That's how you free your mind from overwhelm, stress, and forgetfulness. And when your mind is light, you have space for higher level thinking, the kind that generates real results. I know some people think scheduling makes life rigid, but the truth is the opposite. Scheduling doesn't take away your freedom. It gives you control. True freedom isn't doing whatever you want whenever. It's being able to do what matters at the right time without delay, without distraction. And that only happens when you prioritize, and that priority must show up on your calendar. Because what's not on the calendar will be overridden by the urgent but meaningless. Don't wait until you have time to do what's important. Schedule it. Don't say, I'll work out sometime. Write down 6:30, a minute run. Don't say, I'll learn this skill when I'm free. Schedule Wednesday, 8 p.m., 45-minute online course. Don't let everything hang in the air. When you schedule, you're making a decision. And when you decide clearly, you reduce friction, reduce procrastination, and dramatically increase your chance of taking action. I have a personal principle. Don't prioritize based on your calendar. Schedule based on your priorities. That means I don't let my calendar fill up with other people's demands. I choose what matters first and place that first. Everything else revolves around it. You don't need a packed schedule. You need a schedule that has room for breakthroughs. You don't need to list every little thing. You just need a clear commitment to what's worth doing. And here's one simple but powerful habit. At the end of every week, spend 15 minutes reviewing your upcoming calendar. Delete what no longer adds value. Insert time for personal growth. Lock in time blocks for high leverage work. Reserve space for creativity, rest, and energy recovery. Do this weekly, and you're gradually building a life by design instead of one shaped by circumstance. If you're serious about your future, start by getting serious about your schedule. Every time block you control is a brick you lay in the foundation of your career, health, relationships, and inner life. On the flip side, every hour you let slip away unconsciously is a shattered brick in the structure you are trying to build. Scheduling isn't about restricting you. Scheduling is how you declare, I choose to live intentionally. If you don't make time for what matters, you'll be forced to make time for what doesn't. And if you keep postponing what deserves your focus, one day you'll wake up in a life with nothing worth remembering. Schedule it or forget it. Because if it's not there, it's not going to happen. Every time you say yes to something unimportant, you're silently saying no to something that could change your life. It may sound harmless, but the truth is this: it's the small, unconscious, repeated yeses every day that quietly erode your energy, your focus, and your future. It's not major failures that push you backward. It's the moments you don't have the courage to say no to things that don't align with your purpose. I used to be someone who couldn't say no. I used to agree to every unnecessary meeting, every unfocused social interaction, endless messages, tasks others should have done, half-baked ideas that took up my week just to see if they had potential. And then I had no time left for what mattered, no energy to do what I knew I was supposed to do. I was too busy with what seemed reasonable that I forgot what was actually valuable. If you don't learn the art of saying no, then you're letting your life be controlled by other people. You're not living, you're reacting. You're not steering, you're drifting wherever the next thing appears. And the real danger isn't that you're doing something bad, it's that you're being distracted by the trivial while real opportunities are quietly closing. I say this too because I get it. No one wants to come off as cold. We all want to be kind, helpful, open-hearted, but you don't draw boundaries, you'll be pulled away from what you actually value. Kindness doesn't mean saying yes to everything. Kindness means knowing when to say no to the wrong thing, so you can say yes to the right one. I've seen too many people fail not because they lack skill, but because they were swallowed up by excess commitments. They took on more work because they didn't want to say no. They said yes to a party because they didn't want to offend. They agreed to help because they thought it won't take much time. But guess what? It won't take much time, when added up, becomes the very thing that steals time from you. And the worst part is you don't even realize it. You think you're managing well, but in reality, you're just enduring better. And no one builds greatness from endurance alone. Successful people don't let guilt dictate their schedule. They don't let social pressure override personal strategy. They don't let pleasant invitations pull them off a hard but worthy path. They know every yes is a commitment, a slice of time, a piece of a finite resource, and so every yes must be chosen carefully, not out of emotion, but out of long-term vision. They understand saying no doesn't make them worse people. It helps them stay aligned and whole in their mission. I want you to remember this: saying no isn't rejecting others, it's keeping a promise to yourself. Every time you turn down something that doesn't fit, you're protecting your commitment to your dream. Every time you walk away from a pointless opportunity, you're stepping closer to the real one, and you must train this like a skill, like a survival instinct. Because the further you go, the more mature you become, the more you'll be invited into things that are attractive but irrelevant. And if you're not firm enough to say no, you'll drown in the good instead of reaching for the great. I have a rule for making decisions. If this doesn't bring me closer to my vision, I decline. If it just makes me feel busy, I decline. If it derails my schedule, disrupts my rhythm, drains energy without producing long-term value, I decline. No complex reasons needed, just radical honesty with myself. Don't live a life written by someone else's script. Don't let someone else's map pull you off your own road. And you know what? The more you say no to what doesn't deserve you, the clearer you see what does. That's the natural filter of a priority-driven mind. You can't find clarity in a noisy room. You must clear your desk. You must keep the outside noise outside. Only then will you truly see what needs to stay and what must go. That's when you step into a new level of living with gravity, with intention, and with an unshakable clarity. So if you're feeling drained, feeling like you're working hard but getting nowhere, being pulled by constant requests, favors, invites, half-hearted relationships, don't look for more energy. Cut the leaks. Start with one simple word: no. Not because you hate others, but because you love yourself. Not because you're arrogant, but because you're clear enough to choose what's right. And if you can do that today, you'll know how to protect your focus tomorrow, no matter how loud the world gets. And if you do that every day, you won't just live effectively, you'll live with direction, with results, and with an inner peace that others may never understand. Do you know the most overlooked difference between successful people and those who keep struggling? It's not in how they act, but in how they use the quiet moments. Most people treat waiting time as dead, as wasted leftovers. They kill it by scrolling through their phones, complaining, sitting idly, or letting their minds sink into boredom. But successful people are different. They don't kill time. They understand that every moment holds the potential for growth, if you're clear-headed enough to see it. I'm not talking about anything fancy. I'm talking about the minutes you spend waiting in the parking lot, standing in line at the grocery store, riding the bus, waiting on a late friend, pausing at a red light, or simply sitting through a delayed meeting. That's not useless time, it's untapped time. If you know how even 5 dead minutes can become 5 minutes of learning, you don't need 3 quiet hours to change your life. You just need to collect the small fragments and turn them into invested energy. I used to do what everyone else does. When I had a few free minutes, I'd open my phone and watch something meaningless just to kill time, until I realized I wasn't killing anything. I was just fragmenting my own energy. Those waiting periods, seemingly trivial, added up. I was letting hours slip away every week without gaining anything but eye strain and mental clutter. So I made a change. Every time I had to wait, I pulled out a book. Every traffic jam, I put a podcast. Every pre-meeting pause, I jotted ideas or reviewed goals. And I realized there's no wasted time, only wasted awareness. If you want to succeed faster, then stop thinking only serious moments are worthy of growth. Use every crack in your schedule to recharge. Because in reality, you'll never have enough time if you don't know how to use the small bits. You don't need 1 more hour a day. You need a new mindset for your empty pockets of time. Imagine spending just 20 minutes a day learning while commuting, waiting, or doing nothing. Close. That's 10 hours a month, 120 hours a year. A full course, a mastered skill, a major leap. Let me ask you, how many minutes did you waste unconsciously yesterday? How many times did you open your phone just to scroll aimlessly? How many moments did you sit still doing nothing while your brain could have been activated by a quote, short video, a single deep thought? I'm not just talking about knowledge, I'm talking about a mindset. A person who uses every chance to move forward will always surpass the one waiting for the right moment, and the right moment rarely shows up on its own. Successful people live in 2 states, either creating value or absorbing it. They don't live in numb indifference. They don't let their minds go dormant during wait time. They always carry a small notebook, a note-taker app, a playlist of inspirational content, a list of ideas to ponder, because they know the time others are frozen is when they accelerate mentally. You don't need to do anything dramatic, just start small. Next time you wait for your coffee, don't scroll Facebook. Play a 3-minute audiobook. Next time you're in the car, don't blast useless news. Play that podcast you've been meaning to finish. Next time you have a spare moment, write down one idea in your head. Don't think it doesn't matter. Those small actions are the raw material to build a whole new thought system. And from thoughts, results are born. I know someone will say, but I'm tired. I don't want to keep learning all the time. I'm not saying you need to race. I'm saying turn passive into intentional. You can still relax, still rest, but rest with purpose. Rest to recover, not to be distracted. You can still consume entertainment, but do it with filters. Stop at the right time, set limits. You can still wait, but wait in a mindset of readiness. When you live like this, you don't have to force it. You just need to recognize opportunity in what once seemed pointless. You don't need to become a machine. You need to become someone who grows even in the smallest things. You need to understand that time never stops. The question is whether you ride its rhythm or let it pass. When others die in the wait, you can live more deeply within yourself. When others complain of boredom, you can quietly advance in awareness, and that creates distance, not a gap in hours, but in how time is used. I don't have more hours than you, I just use them differently. And I started by reclaiming the meaningless gaps I used to waste. Like building a rocket, every tiny part affects speed. Life works the same way. Success doesn't come from dramatic moments. It comes from what you do in all the moments that once felt too small to matter. Are you carrying the weight of your entire life on your shoulders? Do you believe that if you don't do it yourself, everything will fall apart? Many people live with that mindset. They think, I have to do it because no one else can do it as well as I can. They believe handling everything personally is the only way to guarantee quality. But here's the truth. The more you take on, the more you drain yourself. The more you try to control everything, the more you lose what matters most, strategic thinking and creative energy. I'm not saying this because I enjoy delegating. I used to be like you, doing it all, checking everything, keeping it all within reach, until I realized no one builds something great by doing everything themselves. No one speeds up by carrying an overload. No one reaches the top floor while stuck on the ground floor, sweeping up every little detail. If you want to truly break through, you have to learn to let go at the right moment, delegate the right tasks, and preserve your energy for the right strategy. Look at your schedule. How many of those tasks truly require you? How many could be done by someone else if you gave clear instructions? How many repetitive tasks could be automated if you were willing to invest once in the right tools or systems? And how many of those tasks, honestly, should be eliminated immediately because they create no long-term value? This is a question of efficiency, but more deeply, it's a question of trust. You're not delegating because there's no one else. You're not delegating because you don't trust anyone else to do it well. But if you hold on to that mindset, you'll always be stuck in operations. You'll never have time for strategy. You'll be spinning, but never accelerating. I have a simple principle. If it can be delegated, delegate it. If it can be automated, automate it. If it produces no result, eliminate it. Your energy is too valuable to be leaked on things that could be done by someone else, by a machine, or just don't need to be done at all. When you give 100% of your energy to what only you can do, you enter your unique value zone. That's the place where no one can replace you. That's where you produce outcomes others can't replicate. And only in that zone can you scale. I've met many talented people, truly talented, but they can't break through to the next level because they don't know how to delegate. They want everything to be perfect, so they keep everything in their hands. But the more they hold on to, the more they become the bottleneck. The more they control, the more they limit growth. They're so busy, they can't see beyond the day-to-day, and they get surpassed not because they're worse, but because they didn't trust anyone but themselves. Remember this, if you're the only one who can do it all, then you're also the only one limiting your team's growth. You can't scale if you don't let go of the small to hold on to the big. Successful people don't do everything. They do the most important things. They spend time thinking, deciding, innovating, not on things that could be taught, systematized, or handled by others. You don't need to be good at everything. You need to know what you are good at and find the right people for the rest. And if you haven't found them yet, spend your time searching, not overexerting, because grinding harder isn't a strategy. I'm not saying you have to be a CEO to understand delegation. I'm saying, even as an individual, if you try to do it all, you'll never have the time to grow. If you spend your day on minor tasks, you'll have no energy left to learn new skills. If you carry the weight of every family responsibility, you'll have no space left for creativity. If you don't let go of part of it, you'll never have hands free to reach for something bigger. How you can't fly if you're always carrying weight, and you can't rise if you're clinging to every task. Start simply. Each week, review your work and ask 3 questions. 1, does this task really need me? 2, who could do it instead if I coach them well? 3, is there a tool or system that could do this automatically? If you're honest with these 3 questions, you'll free up at least 30% of your weekly time. And once you reclaim that 30%, you'll have the space to do something greater. Don't you think doing it yourself is faster? But you forget this, doing it once may be fast, but doing it over and over traps you. If you spend 10 minutes training someone to do a task that takes you 30 minutes each time, you're buying back time for the future. That's an investment. And like any wise investment, it needs initial patience to produce long-term results. Successful people think long-term. They don't need perfect now. They need sustainability and scalability. Look at your life right now. What are you spending your energy on? Are those things worth the daily drain? Or are you just doing them to keep everything barely running? If you want to live differently, you have to work differently. If you want to break through, you have to let go. Not let go of responsibility. Let go of the wrong tasks to hold on to the right role. You are not a servant to tasks. You are a creator of value. And when you live in alignment with that role, you'll not only be more effective, you'll be freer. I'm telling you this because no one else will say it to you honestly. How you end your day reflects exactly how you're living your life. Not your mornings, not your peak working hours, but those final moments when you're alone, no longer performing, no longer reacting. That's when you see most clearly who you really are. And most people are unconsciously wasting that moment. They drift into the end of the day, exhausted, disconnected, dull. They reach for their phone out of reflex, scroll social media like a light addiction, consume meaningless content as a way to momentarily escape reality. Then they fall asleep in disorder, wake up in confusion, and continue a cycle they don't even realize they've been trapped in. You're truly serious about your life, you can't keep living like that, because if mornings are when you set your direction, then nights are when you check if that direction was right. If you don't pause to evaluate your path, you'll get lost without noticing. Successful people don't just work hard, they learn from the day they just lived. They don't end their days with Netflix or TikTok. They end with reflection. It doesn't have to be long, just 10 quiet minutes, but those 10 minutes can reshape the entire trajectory of your thinking. I call it the harvest moment. Like a farmer checks his fields at the end of the day, counting what he's gathered. I do the same with my mind. I don't go to sleep without learning something from today. I don't close a day without writing down a lesson, a mistake, a moment I handled well or could have handled better. I don't repeat the same mistake twice because I don't let myself forget that today was the greatest classroom. I know you're tired. Everyone is. But being tired isn't an excuse to live carelessly. In fact, the more tired you are, the more you need to stop and regain control of your mind. If you don't, you won't just lose the present, you'll lose direction for the future. And do you know why so many people feel like their life isn't moving forward? It's not because they're not trying hard enough. It's because they never stop to understand what's actually happening inside them. I'm not asking you to journal for hours. I'm just asking you to ask one question before bed. What did I learn today? If you can answer that even in one sentence, you're already ahead of 90% of people because you're living with intentional learning, not drifting in the repetition of old behaviors. Remember, every day holds a lesson, but if you don't stop to harvest it, that lesson will be lost forever. You could live for years without becoming any wiser, simply because you forgot to reflect on what you just walked through. Picture this: if every night you wrote down one good thing, one thing to improve, and one thing you learned, after a month you'd have 90 data points about yourself. After a year, more than 1,000. That's internal wealth. That's a real map of your growth. And the best part is you don't need anyone else to do it. You just need to face yourself every night in silence. It took me a long time to realize the difference isn't how smart you are, but whether you dare to look back at yourself each day. A smart person who doesn't reflect will stay stuck forever. An average person who learns from every small mistake will eventually go farther. I don't need you to change the world. I need you to change how you close your day, because how you end determines how you begin again tomorrow. Ending your day with wisdom means you don't drift into sleep with a mind full of garbage. It means you filter your experience, acknowledge your progress, forgive your mistakes, and recommit to your path. It doesn't require much, but it does require emotional discipline. You have to learn to say enough to the screen, to the noise, to the endless stream of content. You have to know how to turn off the outside lights and turn on the inner ones, because only in inner darkness can you clearly see what's really running you. And when you do this long enough, you won't just see life more clearly, you'll see yourself more clearly. You'll know what triggers you, what activates your fear, what truly makes you happy. You won't have to wait until life teaches you a big lesson through a painful fall, because you've already learned from the small stumbles every day. That's how you grow. Not loudly, not urgently, but deeply and unshakably. So tonight, before you turn off the lights, I want you to do one thing. Sit with yourself for 5 minutes. No phone, no social media, no one else, just you. And the question, what did I learn today? Don't look for a clever answer, just look for an honest one. If you do that enough times, you'll realize you don't need to change your whole life overnight. You just need to become someone who learns every day. And once you become that person, life will no longer be able to keep you stuck in the same place. Let me tell you something that few people are willing to admit. Inspiration won't build your future. Discipline will. You can be inspired by a video, a book, a quote, or a talk. You feel excited, ready to change, eager to do something big. But then after a few hours or a few days, that feeling fades. You return to your old loops, and you don't understand why you keep starting full of enthusiasm only to quit halfway. The problem isn't that you lack passion. The problem is that you're relying on inspiration instead of building through discipline. I don't need to know how many ideas you have. I need to know, can you do a boring task every single day in silence, in the dark, with no praise for weeks, months, maybe years, just because you know what needs to be done? That is discipline. And that's where success is born, not in the spotlight, but in the moments no one sees, no one notices, no one claps, but you still do the right thing anyway. I'm not saying inspiration has no value. It's the spark, but a spark won't carry you far without fuel. And the only fuel that is strong enough, stable enough, and lasting enough is discipline. Inspiration comes and goes. Discipline is something you build and sustain. And if you want to create something long-lasting, you have to stop depending on temporary motivation. You must learn how to act without needing a feeling to push you, because it simply needs to be done. Let me ask you, what would happen if you only brushed your teeth when you felt like it? What if you only went to work when you had energy? You'd lose your teeth. You'd lose your job. And you'd lose your direction. Yet that's how most people treat their life goals. They wait for inspiration. They wait for the right time. They wait for a big push. But success doesn't wait. Success happens to the ones who don't wait, to the ones who know, today I will do this, even if I'm tired, even if I'm bored, even if I don't feel like it, because I'm committed to the version of me I want to become. Discipline isn't flashy, but it's powerful, because when you train yourself to do the right thing, regardless of how you feel, you start believing in yourself. You no longer rely on external encouragement. You fuel yourself with your own actions. And the more you act, the stronger your foundation becomes. The further you go, the clearer the gap becomes between you and the rest. Not because you're better, but because you're more consistent. And in a world where everyone gives up easily, the consistent one is the winner. I don't wait for the perfect day to start. I start and turn every day into a step forward. I don't ask myself, do I feel motivated today? I only ask, did I do what I committed to today? And I keep my word with myself, no one forcing me, no one reminding me. I act because I understand the value of compounded discipline. Every time you do the hard thing, you increase your self-control. Every time you beat the urge to delay, you lay another layer of strength for the better version of yourself. You want success? Then stop living like a child who needs constant cheering. Live like an adult who knows what's necessary and acts even when no one's watching. That's the sign of someone about to break through. Someone who doesn't need to be ignited, because they are the fire. And that fire isn't random. It's lit daily by choosing the right thing, repeating what must be done, and refusing to settle for ease. I want you to remember this. Discipline is the highest form of self-respect. When you keep promises to yourself, you show that you value your goals. When you act every day, even with no audience, you're building a kind of confidence that no one can take away. And that kind of confidence is the real foundation for standing strong in any challenge. I don't need you to be perfect. I just need you to be consistent with your small habits, consistent with your scheduled hours, consistent with your set actions. You don't need to do something huge every day. You need to not give up on what matters. And if you do that day after day, you'll look back and realize you've gone farther than anyone who only moved when they felt like it. If today you were lazy, you delayed, you felt off track, don't beat yourself up, just return to rhythm. You don't need to feel anything special. You don't need to wait for a mood. Just start again. One small action, one right step, then another and another until you find your pace again. Success doesn't require perfection. It only requires that you don't let today's laziness become tomorrow's lifestyle. I'm telling you this not to spark momentary inspiration, but to help you understand an undeniable truth. Every day you live is a brick laid into the structure of your life. Not the special moments, not the major events, but the ordinary days. The hours you wake up, the small decisions you make. These are what shape you. You don't need to wait for a special day to change. You just need to understand that today can be that day if you lay the brick right. I've seen so many people live as if they have unlimited tomorrows. They delay what matters, thinking there's still time. But years pass, and they look back not knowing why the work isn't done, health has declined, relationships have cracked, and their dreams still feel far away. They forget every careless day is a loose brick, and a structure built with such bricks will eventually collapse. You cannot build a life you're proud of if you treat every day like something to just get through. But if you live each day with full presence, with clarity, with discipline, even if you haven't gone far, you are still going right. And in this long game, that's what matters most, going right. You want a different future? Then stop dreaming about it. Start building it day by day, action by action, choice by choice. There is no shortcut, no easy detour. Some will say, but I'm confused. I don't even know what I truly want yet. That's okay. Confusion doesn't mean you stop. You still lay bricks. And if you don't yet know the direction, start with bricks named. Build discipline, nourish health, learn skills, live with intention. These are never wasted, even without a perfect roadmap. It's better to build slowly than not at all. Better to build with stone than paint castles on sand. I'm not telling you that every day must be extraordinary, but every day must have direction. There will be times you're tired, times you want to rest, times you doubt yourself. But the one thing you must not do is let today pass as if it has no impact on the rest of your life. Because in truth, it affects everything. What time you wake up today, what you eat, what you learn, whether you kept your promise to yourself, how you respond when emotions rise, all of it, though small, are slices of the identity you're constructing. And identity forges destiny. Now, let me ask you, if each day is a brick, what are you building? A solid home or a chaotic structure with no blueprint? Each time you procrastinate, you're misplacing a brick. Each time you indulge in short-term emotions, you're removing part of your foundation. Each time you compromise with ease, you're weakening yourself. But also, each time you keep a promise, stay disciplined, learn something new, overcome inertia, you're adding a golden brick to your future. Don't underestimate a single day. Don't downplay a single decision. Life isn't made from turning points. It's made from the repeated behaviors you choose daily. Successful people don't do superhuman things every day. They do simple things super consistently. They don't have more ability than you. They just have more commitment and consistency. They don't live off inspiration. They live off systems. They don't chase what's exciting. They stick to what's necessary. They don't care what others think. They only ask, will this bring me closer to my vision? And if the answer is yes, they do it. No delay, no excuse, no waiting for perfect. You can start today. No need for a grand occasion. You just need to decide to live today like it matters, as if every action you take is sending a signal to the universe. I'm serious about what I want. And if you do that enough times, what you want will begin to move towards you. Not quickly, but surely. I don't need you to become a superhero. I just need you to stop living indifferently toward each day. Because life doesn't disappear in shockwaves. It disappears in unconsciousness. You don't lose your dreams because of one catastrophe. You lose them because of thousands of aimless days. And if you feel like you're drifting, stop right now. Look at today and ask yourself, am I laying this brick in the right direction? If not, adjust. It's okay. You still have the power to change. As long as you begin to act now, you can build an average life by living carelessly each day. But you can also build an extraordinary life by living with awareness, strategy, and discipline. Each day is a brick. Lay it with steady hands, with far-sighted vision, and with a heart that believes, I'm worthy of a solid structure. You don't need to do everything in one day. You just need to not give up on one day. And if you hold that rhythm, you won't need to chase success. It will come as a natural result.